It's time for our Business World NewsX panels on the Indian economy, a special series on the current state of the Indian economy, how the last few weeks have really panned out, last few months rather, and what more needs to be done now to get our economy back on track to, of course, the growth stage that it was at before the pandemic hit. We have with us a very special panel. Joining us today, Sandeep Kapoor, founder and president of the Promodome Group. Ankush Singla, co-founder of Coding Ninjas, joins us as well. Amit Lakotia, founder of Park Plus, is with us live. Hitesh Rathi, founder Advik Foods, is also joining us. Saiju Arvind, founder of EduBrisk Knowledge Solutions, joins the panel as well. And Anurag Patra, editor-in-chief Business World, is with us on the broadcast as well. Welcome all of you. Thank you so much for being with us. Sandeep Kapoor, let me begin with you first. How have the last few months really panned out for your group? How have you mitigated some of the damning effects of the pandemic and the lockdown? And how much really has the financial stimulus package announced by the government provided your sector with?
Sandeep, you'll have to unmute yourself. We can't hear you. Unmute is the second most popular word of 2020. First being COVID. Yes, we can hear you now.
Thank you for this. Actually, last few months has been very bad for our industry, particularly for people who've been doing traditional campaign, be it print or TV. But digital has been, last few months, digital has grown up phenomenally. And we as an agency have got few counts, and a lot of focus has shifted to from traditional print magazines or TV to social, online. And that's very encouraging for people, agency like us. And business going forward, I see this year should be very difficult for our particular industry. And as far as the stimulus government is concerned, there is not anything for people like us from our industry, be it for print, be it for TV. That has not really helped us at all, I should say that.
Okay. And I keep saying, I know, Sandeep, you have a digital wing also, but as you rightly said, the traditional media has suffered. But let me ask you, have your clients gone on a pause? Is that pause coming to an end with IPL happening, with Diwali around the corner? Do you see your clients spending more? And I keep saying it, Sandeep, to all our viewers, to all our entrepreneurs on the panel, that in good times, you should advertise, and in bad times, you must. So what are you telling your clients?
So you're right. Even during pandemic, we were telling to a lot of our clients that even if you're not spending, you should spend now, because the kind of eyeballs, the kind of footfalls, even for you will get is phenomenal, because everybody is sticking to platforms like OTT, video, print. So that you're right. And going forward from last, I should say, festive season is once 15th August crossed, we see a lot of our clients from top MNCs to government. Next few months, next quarter, last financial quarter, which is October, November, December, I think budgets are going up. People have started spending. People are on the road, and I see a lot of outdoors also now coming in. So next 3 months should be very, very good for industry.
Thank you, Sandeep. On that positive note, let me bring in Ankush Singla. Ankush, what has happened to your business in the last 6 months? How are you pivoting? And when do you see the demand fully coming back? I'm talking of the overall economy. We know that certain sectors are decimated and certain sectors are got accentuated. But I'm talking of in a general way. Ankush Singla.
Right. So just to give a context, I do run an edtech company. We focus on training students and professionals on coding related technologies. So honestly, I am glad that we are in education, because that is a sector that has not really seen a setback compared to every other sector. Primary reason is that because people are at home, they want to use this time effectively and they want to learn. That being said, it has been a combination of two factors. One, that people have more time, so they want to use it more effectively. But the other factor is also that they don't have that much money to spend. So they are. So there is that factor as well, because in our case, majority of our audience is college-going students, come from varied backgrounds, and some of them don't have that much money to spend in the current time. So it's a combination of these two factors. Overall, I won't be complaining about the growth. We have been seeing decent growth during this period, which I am sure is very rare for a lot of businesses in the current time. So nothing to complain there. In terms of overall, I think it's going to be a big positive for anybody in EdTech in the longer period, because the first factor will still continue where people are now used to online education. They have sort of realized that this is something that can work well for them. But hopefully the money factor will go away where they will have some more money to spend and like things will come back to normal. But I think everybody who used to be very, very cautious about learning online, they have experienced this now and they sort of realize that this is something that actually can be better than offline, just because of the fact that you're not limited to the kind of teachers you have in your vicinity and you can learn from the best wherever you want.
Okay. Ankush, are you thinking of productizing your offering? I mean, look at Byju's. They acquired White Hat Junior. Are you looking at productizing your offering and scaling up? Because EduTech is seeing attention from investors. $1.8 billion in the last 10 months and more coming. So tell us what your plans are and how do you plan to leverage on this opportunity that God has created for you?
Right. So luckily for us, we did productize our offering in the last couple of years. So it's as simple as anybody, any student who wants to start learning today, they can come on our website, register, and start learning. We do teach close to 20,000 students a year through our platform. So it has been completely productized before that. That being said, we also make sure that students are able to get the best of both worlds, where they are able to get their doubts resolved whenever they have it. We built our product in a way that all those things are still taken care of. So their experience in terms of online is really, really good. That being said, because of the current times, couple of things that we have done, as you took name of White Hat and like generally coding for kids as a platform, that is something that we are seeing a lot of interesting growth as well. So that is something that we were not doing earlier, but we have launched in the last 4 months, and that is the segment that we are seeing a lot of growth in as well. And the good part there is that it's not just India from where we are getting students from all over the world. Without doing any marketing outside India, we are still getting 50% of students coming in from like more US, Europe, Canada sort of countries. That is something that is happening. Another thing that we are seeing, which is really positive for us and general tech, is now schools and colleges are a lot more receptive to using technology because they don't have any other option. Right. So realizing that this is a time when they will have to adopt technology for them to stay relevant. That automatically means that we are seeing a lot more universities, colleges coming to us.
Ankush, we'll come back to you. Let me also bring in another, entrepreneur, in fact, in the same sector, Saiju Arvind, at this point as well. Saiju Arvind, how have you seen the last few months trends really for your sector, considering, of course, you are offering knowledge solutions as well? We've seen the digitalization of education like never before in the last few months. In fact, it still continues. So how is, the period since the lockdown really been like for your business?
So if you really, it's an amazing and most important, I would say that 5 years, what is supposed to happen in a normal course of 5 to 10 years has happened in 5 years. So I don't think any of it, I think there's a lot of interference coming from others. Can mute. Yeah, can you hear me, Uday?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so what I said is that last 5 years or coming 5 years to 10 years advancement has happened in the last 5 months in terms of technology induction.
Okay, I think someone has their television on. So I'm going to request whoever has their television on to just put it on mute or mute yourself, and then I'll come back to you all later for more. And of course, you can watch the program later yourself. You just mute your TV set if it's on around you anywhere. Yes, Saiju, go ahead. Make your point.
Yeah, I think Mr. Sandeep's TV, so if he mutes, the problem will be solved.
Go ahead, Saiju.
Yeah, so what I said is that imagine a development which was supposed to happen in 5 years or 10 years, happening in just 5 months. What would be the effect?
We understand that, Saju. We understand you setting up the context. But we want to know what has happened in your business.
Yeah.
How are you
it's like,
how do you see the future? That's obviously happened. Our viewers know about it. We know about it.
Yeah. So what has happened there were resistance from the educational community due to many reasons. First of all, the effect of technology in regular learning was not known, and there was a certain amount of obstinacy or reluctance to accept the change. And other thing is that there was a threat that these sort of businesses are going to replace the conventional education. I think what has happened is the educational community got a taste of and empowerment in regular education because of these tools. In fact, these tools in the hands of an educationist can work wonders.
Absolutely, Saju. Thank you for your opening comments. Let me go to Amit Lakhotia. Amit, give us specifics on what's happened to your business. It's good that you lay out the context, but by now the context and the background we all know. So we want to dive into specifics on what's happened to you, your business, where do you see it going, and what does your view fall in terms of where the economy is headed. So Amit Lakhotia.
So we have a very interesting things happening in our industry. Plus is trying to digitize parking across country the same way Book My Show digitized about 10 years back. So 10 years back, everybody used to stand in line and to get a movie ticket. Today, we book it online and then we are trying to digitize the same where you can book a parking in advance before going. You don't have to spend time, fuel, figuring out where the slot is. So at the industry level, it has been obviously massively bad because lockdown, people are not going out, people are not spending, people go for food, people go for normally go for out for food, movies, meetings, offices. Roughly everything is dead. Nothing is happening out there. So parkings are nearly empty, kind of a thing. So that is at an industry overall at an industry level.
Amit, I'm stopping in between, but Amit, if you correlate parking slots getting full with the economy coming back, give us a sense of where we are.
Okay, so at least at a parking level, like at most of the parkings which are on the roadside right now are now full back. In fact, IOCL yesterday released a report, their September numbers, where they said petrol sales year on year is 1% up, while diesel sales are 20% down, which means petrol is mostly used by personal vehicles, which means people like only a limited percentage of people are going out, but almost all of them are using personal vehicles. So, which would mean that
and it is right, if you look at vehicle sales, the demand for personal mobility because you want to be in your safe environment. I mean, it correlates, it kind of makes sense.
So, I think from an offline parking industry, it has been very bad. But from an online industry where we are just starting to build that habit of booking parking online or contactless, touchless parking, from a user point of view, it's a great education. Nobody wants to touch anything manual now. Even at a mall level, even at a parking operator level, now they are also understanding. Like the same way in education space, people weren't comfortable using technology. In the parking space, also people were uncomfortable using technology. Now everybody is talking to us and saying, how can we digitize parking? We don't want any manual purchase there. We don't want any cash collection happening. So, and assumption is only 30% of the people are out right now. Like most bigger corporate offices, etc., are still empty. But idea is by November, when after Diwali things starts opening up, there is going to be like a massive number of personal vehicles on the road. And these are the guys like who will be more comfortable booking it online because number of parking spaces anyways are limited.
Okay, so thank you so much for those specific inputs, Amit. They give you a sense of where we are headed. And let me get in Hitesh for his opening comments. Hitesh, how has your business done? What is the pivot you've taken? And where do you see the Indian economy headed?
And also, were there enough safeguards? Were there adequate safeguards for you, considering that you do fall in the essential items as well? Essential items, since you're, of course, a food-based company. Go ahead, Hitesh. You'll have to unmute yourself and then make your point.
Hitesh, you'll have to unmute yourself. Hitesh, I think we've lost him or he's not being. Let me again bring in Amit. Amit, give us a sense of some more data points which can make us sense about where the business is headed, where economy is headed. Because there is a fear factor. People are not going out that much. You know, I want to travel for very serious business work on Sunday to Pune, but I'm postponing it by a week. It will be my first travel in 7 months. So, you know, somebody used to travel every day almost, fly 3 times a week. I'm thinking about flying. So tell us,
Hello.
data, where are we headed?
Hitesh, we're coming to you in a second. Let Amit make that point.
We have built a lot of COVID solutions for the malls and a lot of big things. So I right now would know how many footfalls are happening across top malls across country. Infinity Mall, Norbit Mall, Coram Mall, Saket City Walk. So we have seen the footfalls to be around about now 18 to 20% right now. Till a month back, it was less than 10%. So number of footfalls have doubled over last 1 month, and they are steadily increasing. So that is on the mall part. On the corporate part, the big corporates are empty. Like I have setups with Vatika, Brookfield, and all these people. So companies are paying rent. So companies are not going out of the corporate spaces. They are paying rent. But the big corporates have still not opened up. But small corporates have nearly opened up. We are seeing close to about 70-75% occupancy in the smaller set of corporates. So that is at a corporate level, that is at a mall level, and we also put our systems at the apartments as well. So number of people going in and out of apartments, like we track from Delhi, Bombay, and Bangalore, we would have our systems in close to about 500 societies, and we are seeing close to about 70-75% times people are going in and out of the society. They may not be necessarily be going for anything, yeah, work, but they are now going out, kind of a thing. And more importantly, like people are able to understand, like for example in malls people are paying for digitally for parking, so that is something that we are seeing. So recovery is different from different sector point of view.
Thank you so much. Hitesh, your opening comments on what has happened to your business, what is the pivot you are taking, and when do you see the Indian economy coming back?
Hi, first of all, really sorry for my poor connection here.
No problem.
What I think is like this COVID situation has taken all of us, I would say, with a great surprise. Means we never expected, to sitting in our homes for 2 months, 3 months continuously. If I talk about my business, so we were doing well. We were actually, our graph was rising, and it was suddenly means all flights were cancelled, and people were staying at home, spending less. So we had seen a downfall, and then e-commerce, which is our major channel, the operations were stopped there as well for initial 1 month. So it was a tough time for each of us, our team members, for me, for our customers also. We were not able to supply them who were even, sometimes it's a need-based product as well. So they were taking us from us since last 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and suddenly means we were not able to plan properly. So there was some problem, but on the brighter side, things are improving now. I think we still have a lot to cover in the times to come. But I think by the end of 2020, we will be in a better position.
Thank you so much. Uday, would you like to take a break now?
We're just a couple of minutes away from the break, so
okay. Let me then bring
we can answer follow-up questions.
Arvind again, Commander Arvind. We'd like to know from you specifics about what's happening to your business and extrapolate it to the Indian business and economy.
So actually, there has been a increase in business by around 6 to 8 times in the last, say, 4-5 months time. And I think when compared to a tech industry, which is around 10 to 12 times, many have reported. So I think at least the top 10 companies in the country has reported of that. So, and the other part is that earlier the business, which was now restricted to tier 1, tier 2 kind of cities, now it has grown to tier 3 cities. And, so that is another wonderful part of the accessibility of education to tier 3 cities, and accessibility of, or you can say scaling up of qualified teachers to even tier 3 cities through the net. So I think that is the main thing that has happened, that is 6 to 8 times growth, and also that growth is into tier 3 and even to tier 4, I would say. So this is Anurag, what personally speaking about our business, that's a growth, yeah.
Okay, Sandeep, if you had to forecast, you'll have to unmute yourself, Sandeep. And if you had to forecast the media and advertising spends in October and November, considering there is Diwali mid-November, where would you peg them at if they're back to 60, 70%, do you think they can go back to 100% and possibly stay there or even surpass, because the marriage season also starts, so the weddings are smaller? What's your sense of it, Sandeep? You'll have to unmute yourself.
Sorry, no, yeah, Anurag, you're right. I see first 6 months from April to September, I see at least the spends going double in next 3 months at least. There is reason for it because a lot of FMCG client, Diwali is around the corner, Christmas around the corner, a lot of sales will happen, a lot of people go out and buy. So I think from my point of view, and we already starting getting orders from different corporate people for their campaigns, be it online, be it social, be it TV also, and for print that matter. We used to see Times of India last month only 12 pages. Now they are it's Times of India started. For example, the even smaller papers, they have started doing very well. And people are saying,
not small
digital,
papers. They're large regional players,
and
state level
next
players.
months will also be very crucial.
They're large Indian language papers. The papers to name are not smaller at all. They're not.
No, not smaller, but Jagran is not smaller.
Yes.
But then there are
smaller
regional papers also. Yes, I see at least next 3 months should be very good, at least doubling what they have done in 6 months.
Thank you so much, Sandeep, for that.
In fact, also, Sandeep, we're seeing the IPL. You know, the IPL also is leading to a lot of advertising revenue suddenly increasing. And we are seeing a lot of ad spend on the IPL, in terms of the team partners, the kind of logos on the jersey, in terms of sheer advertising space being given between the commercials and the overs. So IPL also leading to huge advertising back on television.
Yeah, advertising on television, like I don't want to name a brand here. We just started a campaign, we started in fact tomorrow. Next 3 months, we were told by a lot of TV channels, almost all TV channels, that there can be a drop of your spot in from September, from October to November, which happens every year. But this time we were so sure that COVID period will not have any drop. But then we have told the client that next from 10 days, 15 days of October till first week of November, your drops, your ad drops can happen because that's the peak season we are now in for next month.
Okay, Ankush Singla, you heard the optimism of Sandeep Kapoor. You heard Saju Arvind saying that his business has gone 6-7 times. Amit told you that the numbers in malls have started to go up. But tell us, what are the concern areas? What are things that are still very troublesome for businesses and for the business environment? Ankush Singla, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Yes. So, Rag, I think the biggest concern is around the fact that I think, like, if we talk about upper middle class and above that, right, they have this stage that they are implementing. Companies are able to do that. But when we look at our students, for example, last year we did a survey around the same time around the income, family income of our students, and 35% of our students actually come from families with less than 30,000 as monthly income. So these are the sort of people who have been impacted at the maximum in terms of current period. So if you would ask me, my biggest concern sort of stays around. I understand that companies will sort of start spending again. Middle class and upper middle class will start doing well again. But like everybody who at around less than 40K sort of income, I think these are the people who are really going through a tough time, and how much time they will take to get back on their feet, basically. What I think generally education and overall economy will have to see how much time that takes.
Okay, Ankush, let me go back to Hitesh again. Hitesh, while we all share the optimism, and we're all optimists, and we would like to be proved wrong on our pessimism, it'll be a happy situation to be proved wrong there. But tell us, what are the impediments to business and the business environment right now? Hitesh?
I think, yes, I think the people have become more cost conscious because means whatever they are spending, they need much better ROIs than that was before. And they are planning it more, I would say, in a detailed manner. Whatever like spending minimum and getting maximum. And I think like as everybody has the same opinion which I have, like I'm too an optimist, and I think like this 2020, after that we will be in a very good, better position. I would say some industries will have to evolve themselves because something would be like pre-COVID era and post-COVID era, like the BC and AD. So things will not all the things will be same, but basics will remain. It will be there. Like infrastructure is there, FMCG segment is there. They will have a good growth, I suppose.
Ankush, as far as, of course, some lockdown lessons now are concerned, what are some lockdown lessons that you've learned in the last few months that, that have held you out in good stead and you would like to share with our viewers also watching today so they can take some kind of optimism as well, among the doom and gloom of the times?
You'll have to unmute yourself, Ankush. It's about unmuting the Indian economy.
Thanks a lot.
Each of you can contribute to unmuting that.
Yeah. So a couple of things, right? I think on the business front, one thing that I did is imagine that is hiring remotely. Like I always used to feel that I need to meet somebody before I can comfortably tell them that let's work together. So that is something that I think like has changed for better. It has sort of like time like actively considering and see considering like can we have remote working as some part of our overall business, which I think will allow us to hire a lot more people, a lot more talent all over the country and not just from our location. So that is one part from the business side. And obviously, other than that, right, I think like one thing that all of us have learned is who are the people we are spending time with and like the amount of time we are getting with our family and people that we want to spend time with. That is, I think, something that has been a really good part about the whole lockdown, I would say, is that we are spending time with the right people and we have a lot more time to basically do stuff that has really like set up the priorities, at least for myself, that has really set up the priorities that what I would like to do when I start going out outside the home. But yeah, so from the business perspective, I think like remote hiring, remote working is something that has been a positive in terms of overall productivity, in terms of overall culture as well, I would say. And that's something that I think is a big positive for a lot of businesses.
Okay, and Ankush, if I may ask, what is the change in your mindset that has happened in terms of how you approach your business? For example, it may sound simple. I've repeated it 50 times on NewsX. Costs have to be lesser than revenues. It sounds very simple, but wasn't true 7 months back for a lot of. So, what is less is more? As Hitesh was saying, more for less, consumer want. So, what's one thing in your entrepreneurial mindset that has changed?
So luckily for us, we totally agree with you, and we have always agreed. Like the first time we raised funds in our last 4 year of journey is in February. Again, luckily that we raised just before the lockdown. So totally agree on that front. In terms of what has changed, I think one thing that has changed is a lot of communication within the team, and also a lot of communication that we used to do with the customer. Has become a lot more streamlined because we've sort of realized that is the way we really communicate with, communicate effectively. Very, very important as we're doing everything remotely within the team. In terms of as an entrepreneur, I think one thing that has happened, like while we were building this, because there is so much boom in education overall at tech, that like the digital actually spending has increased a lot in case of edtech. So everything has become more expensive, and that sort of just made us realize that we need to be more and more relying on our customers getting us more customers rather than relying on the advertisement and like relying on spend digitally. So that is something that I think a lot of edtech companies know that you acquire most of your customers digitally. That's going to be extremely expensive because a lot of edtech companies now have a lot of money that they are using those types.
Okay, Commander Saju Aravind, clearly you come from the forces, so you have a certain discipline, learning, and by the word strategy comes from military. It's a military term that started getting used in business and economy. But tell us what has changed in terms of how you approach being an entrepreneur. What is that one thing that you have learned in this COVID environment that will help you do well in your business and life?
I think the most important one was to cut the expenses, all the unnecessary expenses. What we thought bringing business, like the plush offices, the brick and mortar buildings and things like that. So that certainly changed our perspective. We can cut a lot of cost in that. Second is, of course, the extra time and the thing we went to spend analysis on how what is producing, what is not producing, and what are the areas of our business which we need to focus on. And the third is, as Ankush also said, that in terms of human capital development, we found that actually it can be done a lot of a blended mode of working. Even if I feel that even if after the post-COVID period, we wouldn't go back to a full office kind of a scenario like we did. I would say that maybe it will be. I will request all the team members in groups to come 2 days a week, so that there is human interaction, a hybrid model where they come and the application and the creation level happens when they are together, and a lot of understanding and learning can happen when they are
Okay.
A hybrid model.
Okay, Amit Lakotia, your lockdown lessons and what has changed in your entrepreneurial mindset?
I think multiple lessons. The first lesson was around health. See, as an entrepreneur, like I've been part of the startup space earlier with Paytm, then with Make My Trip. I've been part of the internet space, fast-growing organizations. When you are a part of these kind of organizations, the health takes a backseat. Like you are just working, 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 and gradually because of the lockdown, you are forced to make sure that immunity levels are higher, energy levels are higher, etc., etc. So exercises started coming in the routine, and you started getting time because you are at home. So I think that is the first thing. At a personal level, that helped a lot. Second part is the ambiguity in communication has gone away. Like now you are talking to people remotely. Now you are communicating on email. You are not sitting with someone. So which means you have to be like very, very clear. Because otherwise, what happens in the office? You just walk to someone and say, "Do it this way." Like you, and the guy would again come back. But this to and fro and this office communication is now over. So, like when you're talking to someone, you have to have clear points, saying point one, point two, point three, and this is how we will measure, etc., etc. So, I think the second part is the communication level have improved significantly, and third part is the employee empathy part. Like some of the team members went through COVID, some of their family members went through COVID, and that is the point of time you became more deeply attached. Mysterious people today. You don't know what will happen. There is no vaccine. There are no shortcuts. It's all about staying at home, keep building immunity, and then keep making sure that things are all okay, quarantine and secure. So you are like mentally, like as a founder, you are bothered about your employees, saying, hope everything is well, etc. And most of the employees, like they have gone to their hometowns, etc. And some of these places are like very, very deep in COVID, and some of the places are completely okay. So making sure.
I think I totally relate with what you told, and all the three lessons are relevant for me and for Uday and for everyone on this broadcast. Hitesh, your top lockdown lessons.
I think Amit has covered almost every part which I also faced. But I think apart from that, on a personal level, which I felt was like 5-10 years back, I had this feeling like I would retire early and just relax every day. So in this lockdown period, what I have realized that too much relaxing is also means useless. You get bored.
Yes.
So there is something
Excess of anything is bad. Excess of everything is bad. There is relaxation or work.
On the other side. As they
Yes. Means I learned it because in the COVID times we have.
We always say oh, give us more time, we can relax. Now we've had enough. That's,
Yeah.
in a sense, what you're doing. So I think excess of everything is bad. But let me and Uday get into our last round. Uh, and we want a candid answer from you. Honest. We don't want you to be diplomatic. Two questions. One, have you seen people around you getting the stimulus and benefiting from it? Second, when do you see the Indian economy coming back? In 6 months, 12 months, or more than 18 months? Let me start with Amit Lakhotia. Have you seen people around you, entrepreneurs around you, benefiting from the economic stimulus?
No, I don't think so. We haven't seen a direct stimulus benefit right now so far. And economy, I think about in 3 to 6 months, some level of recovery, at least at a 50-60% would happen. And then like it will be gradually picking up. But because of all this, I think there will be a lot of pent up demand that will get built. And suddenly, like it will be like a peak, and we'll again not be able to match the production, will not be able to match the demand, and then it will come down. The income levels of people have come down significantly. That is the biggest worry for me from an economic point right now.
Right, worry. Sandeep Kapoor, one, have you seen people around you benefiting from the economic stimulus? And when do you see the economy coming back in full bloom?
Well, actually, honestly, I don't see anybody directly, even indirectly, I don't see anybody benefiting from the package given by the government. Having said that, I see economy will come. I don't see at least first quarter or maybe second quarter of 2021. It should start coming back. So next year, first 6 months should be very challenging. And from April onwards till September, we should see things getting back on track. Full will be by next October, I think.
Okay, Hitesh, when do you see the
Yes,
economy coming back? And has anybody around you benefited from the stimulus?
I think like that moratorium for 3 months, this EMI, I had seen a few people benefiting from that, but in the long run, it was nothing. I would say.
But the
I had this
interest,
feeling like yes, I mean
interest
it was
responsibility
pointless according
value
to me.
gone up. The interest on the moratorium, I mean,
So
on the amount during the moratorium period only added to the woes.
yes, and I think like see in any business who is running, they are filing the GST returns, their IT returns, and they have some ITC or something like that. So I think government should have done like a line of credit on the basis of that, because everything is there with the government. Instead of we are going to the banks, and I had this personal experience. Like banks were very skeptical about giving means even 5 lakhs. So they were very worried, like how you are going to return me this amount, and I had to pay my overheads, salaries, and other things. So I think if government do such thing, it would be more better, because all data is already available with the government. They can extend certain line of credit, a percentage of that, and I think the economy should be back by second quarter or third quarter of 2021. We will see the good results coming from 2021, but it might take 3-6 months more.
Okay, Commander Saju Arvind.
Of course, as other panelists spoke, I have not seen any direct benefit except in those who are in online businesses, naturally, which includes data science, data business with data and business, of course, education, online education. But what I see is I'm not I'm not having the sufficient data to predict when it will come back. But one thing I certainly feel is if the government take some conscious decisions on about, especially Make in India campaign and shifting some of the industries to the tier 2, tier 3 cities, involving the people there. I think, but it will take its time, because even the training and educational setup, also the human capital development system setup also has to be in place. So maybe hopefully by the second half of 2021.
Okay, Commander Sanju Arvind. Before I bring in Ankush Singla, I want to say to all the viewers and you, the panelists, that about 10 people on our show have acknowledged that they've benefited directly from the government scheme. There will be more out there. So it's not that it's zero. It may not be in the numbers we all expected it to be, but there have been people who have benefited. They've shared it with us on the show. Just want to sensitize you on that. Final word, Ankush Singla. What is your view on when the credit will become better, when the demand will come back, and we'll see the economy roaring again?
So I think one obvious point that I would like to mention here is it would sort of depend upon the vaccine and like when how the like whole disease takes the course over the next few months. But I do feel that it will take at least 12 months in terms of really coming back to the COVID sort of area and like sort of place. That too, I think I will not be surprised if it takes around close to 18 months for us to really be back to the levels that we were at. And I think like as everybody mentioned, I haven't personally seen a lot of people benefiting from the stimulus, but I think like that is also a factor of like as I mentioned earlier, right? Like pass are from the upper middle class or doing better than that, so that automatically means that I'm hoping that a lot of people benefited were the one who really needed it at that time. Yeah.
And have you seen people around you benefiting from the economic stimulus?
Not really, not really. So that's not something that I haven't seen like with a lot of people around me. But that's what I was saying. I'm hoping that that's because of the kind of place we are, all of us are at. Now.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Back to you there.
We're just about to, we just have in fact, a few minutes left. So as we, of course, continue the discussion, Dr. Batra, let's get your opinion, of course, on, on where things stand as of now. We're seeing, of course, growth estimates also get revised downwards after, of course, those disappointing numbers. Where do you really see the economy right now, given the low growth numbers that have, of course, come? These rating agencies also downgrading our growth forecast, but also the strong IPL ad spend showing that you're seeing currently, and also the optimistic forecast for the upcoming festival season, which will begin next week.
Okay, I want to ask Amit and Ankush 2 questions.
I want your opinion as well.
See, my opinion is, I'll tell you that it's the same. That's why I was avoiding it. But I think there are two big variables there. One is, of course, COVID, and when the vaccine will come, when the COVID will, I don't think we've hit the peak yet. Looks like we are on the way to the peak. Maybe in 30 days we'll hit the peak, maybe 45 days. And then once it starts to climb down, we can predict an actual number. But I would say at least 6 months after that happens. So if it happens in December, at least till the next June, don't expect the economy to be in full bloom. Even if the government goes out and spends on infrastructure, it will take a while for it to start impacting. And my sense is that the government will. Second is, what it will do is the digital economy. Right now we are forced. We are doing whatever we are doing because of compulsion.
Yeah.
What habits stay and what go away after we have a choice. I think that will decide the fate of a lot of industry and a lot of businesses. But one thing is for sure, that Indian entrepreneurs are resilient. They'll stay resilient. They'll come out winners. They have pared down on costs. They have spent marketing budgets in performance. Digital to consumer has become big. And there I say they will possibly internalize what have they've learned to build businesses that will really, in some way, live up to the vision of our Prime Minister of a Atmanirbhar India, of a self-reliant India. And I keep saying on this broadcast every day that don't underestimate the power of the Prime Minister, kind of raising the consciousness and confidence of everyone in these times. The results of it may be visible and demonstrable in the next few months, but maybe next few years, because he's saying to us that we can do it. And that kind of enthusiastic support can mean a lot for entrepreneurs. And, I don't want to disappoint you. I'm a first generation entrepreneur like you, but government has a role of an enabler. Right now, it has to tackle the task of dealing with the fear of COVID and the medical task. I think economy, government has a role in policy making, but we as entrepreneurs create, opportunities for ourselves and wealth. And banks, I agree with you, banks create wealth. Now, banks have to be more forthcoming. That's a point I would definitely support. And I think over the next 3 months, the banks should be better than what they were over the last 6 months. That's my view there. But I wanted to ask Amit, what are the sectors of digital? You came up for parking. tell us what are the sectors that are primed up for being reinvented digitally, which nobody is looking at.
So, for example, digital lending, it has taken off so far.
Big way, multiple players.
No small, like there is no scale for anyone. But I'm saying now there is a possibility because a lot of people aren't going to the branches, etc., etc. If you require loan, you will take it offline, online. You will probably less bother over the interest rate because there is no other way out. So I think that part is taken over. I'm obviously bullish about the digital parking business because again, a lot more public vehicles, a lot more private vehicles on the ground means unlimited spaces. Education obviously has been doing fairly well. I think offline payments is again one of those sectors which will bump up big time. Like as things open up, people will start spending through the mobile payments, that part. So these are the things. E-commerce, like if you look at US data, again the US data, the like acceleration in the e-commerce in US is crazy right now. Like from 16% to 26%, they have just grown in like 5-6 months. That is despite the fact that there was no lockdown there. So I think e-commerce part also should take over big time now. And
Yes, you given a sense it's almost double, so that may happen in India. Ankush, a final question to you. What will separate the boys from men in edutechs? There's too many players in every segment, sub-segment, or let me not be chauvinistic and be, let me say, what will separate the girls from the ladies? I mean, who will win? Why will they win? Give us a quick answer.
So I think in education, one thing we'll have to realize is that we are educating and we are not selling. So we, like anybody who feels that they are into an e-commerce business where they need to sell courses online, I think they will be the first one who will be going out of business very, very, like as we things open up. One thing that all of us will have to realize is that we need to do justice to students' time and money, and education should be treated like education, where we need to ensure that they are actually learning, their experience is good, and they are able to achieve what they want to achieve.
Sure.
Like I think being true to being educator is something that very few edtech companies are doing right now, and I think these are the ones who
That's right. We're completely out of time, so I'm going to have to leave it at that. My thanks to all of our panelists for joining us. All the very best to you and your businesses. And
for more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.